Well met, fellow witches, wizards, and everything in between. Or everyone in between, I guess. Or you could be multiple things. Sorry, it's been like a week since I last did something like this. I almost forgot what my intro was. This is Lake of Voices. It's free to play on Steam. It's a kind of visual horror novel. I've heard it has multiple endings. I really like this piano. It's really nice. Anyway, I've been doing... This is still part of my unedited video gameplay. Sorry, I can't figure out what's wrong with my video editor. I found out there is a video editor, like, built in to my computer, but I don't know how to use it yet. It feels bad, like I'm just pushing out content. But this is what I can do for right now, so I'm just gonna start this. Choices. You'll need to make various decisions throughout Lake of Voices. Here are a few details to keep in mind. Certain choices are timed. Time running out isn't something to completely avoid. In some cases, not getting involved can open new possibilities. Other choices aren't timed. These options only determine whether Kikka has any special affection for another character or not. If you survive until the second night, the story will branch into one of 5 different plot lines based on your earlier decisions. The other characters cannot manage all situations in the various plot lines regardless of what you do. If a character isn't making it, try getting that plot with a different set of survivors, or having the same group of characters venture through some other storyline. Becoming closer to someone can add/or remove future choice options and change how some scenes play out. Your decision to build that connection may not go unnoticed by the other characters. Earning the full amount of affection with certain characters can require getting to special plot lines. Just give me a second, I have to blow my nose. My grip on my lantern tightens as the fog around us thickens. While the forests in this area are relatively safe compared to Sinlos, I can't help but feel my hair stand on end the further we get. My free hand fingers the hilt of my sword, something akin to a nervous reflex. Okay, also, I'm getting some very Until Dawn vibes. I've never played. I don't have a PS2. I think there's PS4 that's required to play that game. But I've watched other people play it, and pretty dang cool, actually.
Have you seen it before?
Bemelle breaks the silence, either sensing my unease or assuaging his own. I hope it's the latter.
I haven't. I've had no reason to go near this cursed lake until now. What have you?
Maybe I should speak with a British accent. Bemelle scratches his chin casually, as though I asked what his favorite food is.
I traveled a long way around it once before. Not so pleasant. Something about it just frays your nerves. Although, even being near it is enough.
So I'm not the only one who feels it. A sense of relief hits me, not enough to undo the buzzing of anxiety. The lake. Sinless. Most try their best to avoid it at all their lives. The hundreds who die attempting to cross its unearthly black water, dragged to death by the creatures lurking within, aren't the secret.
No wonder you were assigned this mission.
There are few who have had a first-hand experience of the place, even if from a distance. They'll probably keep being picked whenever they need someone to cross, for however long he's with us. Bemelle shrugs, bringing my attention back to the dark path before us.
At least we're taking the bridge this time. It'll only take 2 days instead of double that, and the sooner this place is behind us, the better.
They have vaguely English accents. You can kind of hear it. As if like they're British people trying to put on an American accent. Or something. Something like
It
that.
would be preferable not to risk it. But time is of the essence. We don't really have a choice.
One of our aligned villages, Himmer, is being harassed by brigadiers, a band of ruffians. We don't have as many guards to send as an assist, only Bemelle and myself. The least we can do is arrive before we're too late to be of any use. These kinds of squabbles happen often, but have to be put down lest they turn into a blood grudge or an all-out war. Last we heard, neither option was that far off.
I can also see why they chose you to come out here.
I glanced at Bemelle and eyebrow raised. I can't read suddenly. I don't know. A slight smile plays across his lips.
You're always so calm and so serious. Nothing can get to you. You're the best choice they had.
A smile now tugs at my own lips. I would like to thank him. That wouldn't be so calm and serious as he just described. If that's how he sees me, I'd like to keep it that way. I did do my vocal warmers this earlier. But apparently my throat is like, nope, you ate something. It's time to get off. My lack of reaction only makes his smile grow, and he chuckles a bit before refocusing on the path. I do the same. It wouldn't be right to let my guard down in a place like this. Bemelle appears to feel differently, though.
You know the town on the other side of the lake, though. It's not so similar to ours. If all goes well, perhaps we'll have enough time to enjoy the new area.
For the most part, I ignore him, nodding when applicable. Bemelle is a talkative sort, and if chatting helps keep his worries down and his sword hand ready, I have no complaints. After a time, the thick fog surrounding us begins to clear. A slick wooden dock comes into view, sorry, and with it, the sounds of water gently lapping on its sides. Bemelle shifts beside me, stretching his lantern arm as far as it will go. He seems tense.
Someone's already here.
How can you tell? Oh, that's how you can tell. A young woman stands by the dock, eyeing us warily. Does she intend to cross tonight? Evidently, she has the same question. As we step up to her, it's clear she isn't simply passing by. She's waiting. The stranger nods curtly to us.
Margaret.
Kikka the Steadfast.
Bemelle. Hello?
Oh, Bemelle, that's how you pronounce that. Wow. Okay. There's a stuffy silence. Margaret turns to gaze out across the lake, expression unclear. With not much else to say, Bemelle and I do the same. From here, the black surface of the lake looks disarmingly calm. Wind rushes across its surface, sounding like whispering. Though perhaps it is actually whispering. I concentrate, trying to place the difference, searching for breaks in rhythm. After a few seconds, I feel foolish. It doesn't matter what the noise is. Whether I hear them or not, we're not alone. The Nixie are out there. The feeling that I can't quite shake tells me they've already noticed the little group of people on their shoes. It feels hostile. Yours. My stomach sinks, and I instead address Bemelle.
Where is the guide?
Unless he's on the center island, or on the complete other side, your guess is as good as mine. It's dark as pitch out there.
Panic rises inside me. Panic I try hard to quell.
We can't cross without him, and we need to get going soon.
You can't cross with him either.
The woman behind us, Margaret, cuts in with something like a snort.
What?
I know the guide will be here tonight. I have already made arrangements with him to cross.
Bemelle and I share a look. The woman seems haughty and willing to put up a fuss.
I have his word he'll take me today. It would be wiser for the two of you to begin the trip around if you're really in such a hurry. Or you can make camp here and wait for him to make the trip back
I don't need to turn my attention to Bemelle to know he's riled up. I step in before he can say something rash.
Even if that is so, my companion and I must begin the trip tonight.
Margaret is unimpressed and opens her mouth to argue further.
We'll wait for the guide to arrive before coming to a conclusion about any of this.
She clams her mouth shut and lets out a sigh.
You can do as you like.
With the matter tentatively settled, Bemelle moves away. His fingers begin to tap loudly against the top of his hilt. He shifts from one foot to another, then groans.
What's that bastard even up to?
I almost visibly start, but I manage to restrain myself. He probably doesn't know any better, I'm sure of it. It's not worth mentioning.
With a mouth like that, you shouldn't even have the right to ask the guide to take you across.
How ludicrous. He's faced far worse than a bit of foul language.
Do you know anything that's happened with this lake?
I know enough.
Margaret is clearly not convinced, but she shrugs and makes a show of turning her back to him. My goodness, you two.
The guide's father is Garvin the Exemplar. Garvin never accepted the guide as his son, all the way up until he died in this lake. Your statement could be seen as tasteless.
Oh.
Yeah! That's what you get for running your mouth. Bemelle rubs the back of his neck, regretful.
My apologies to the guide. I didn't mean it that way. I never knew about his... well, that.
A smile spreads across my face. One eye quickly wipe away. He really did just misspeak. The silence slowly stretches between the three of us, growing more awkward with each passing second. Margaret seems irritated, and Bemelle abashed. Gosh, I don't know. I don't like her, but she might have some information, and I know she doesn't forgive Melee for his comment because she's one of those high and mighty types that doesn't forgive easily.
It's been years since the time of Garvin the Exemplar. It's impressive you knew.
Margaret smiles, lifting her chin into the air. The over-exaggerated action is somehow pleasant rather than belittling. She's so much happier than I had anticipated.
Yes, I do like to stay informed. And you knew too. Good. This lake shouldn't be allowed to swallow even history itself.
My town, the one where I was born at least, was also Garvin's hometown. I was very young when he passed. The entire village went into mourning.
I recognize the voice actress of Kikka, but I don't remember from where. Probably not someone who's been in a whole lot of like voice acting for video games or anything else, but it's a very calm and gentle kind of voice.
People broke down crying in the streets. I'll never forget it. He meant much to everyone who knew him.
Oh, I have no such connections. I merely read about it.
She pauses, seeming to scan the air in front of her for something to say.
I'm sorry for your loss.
It's all right. Thank you.
The town may have taken pride in Garvin the Exemplar and what he achieved, but we weren't the one who lost the most. That would be his family. We each remain locked inside our own thoughts, not another word passing between us. Eventually, a small light appears on the bridge ahead, gently swaying through the foggy air. It gets closer and closer, until it becomes apparent it's a figure carrying a lantern. That must be the guide, although I can't shake the ghostly aura it gives off. The figure steps onto the shore, but we wait for him to approach us instead of going to meet him. None of us are sure how close to the waters we can get before it is no longer safe. He stops in front of us and simply stares. Oh, he's pretty. He's very pretty.
Are you the guide of Sinlos?
The man nods. He has a sharp face and weary eyes. Man, I would be.
Well, that's grand. We would like an escort across the lake.
Bemelle motions to the two of us, and Margaret approaches, a strange smile on her face.
Hello, it's good to see you again. I'm ready to cross, as we've agreed upon.
The guard turns to face her as well, face remaining unchanged. It must not be a lie. He would have had to say something otherwise. She really does have a preference dreadful of him. That's a problem.
Is there a way we can all begin the trip tonight?
Yes, I will allow all three of you to go. But with that many, at least one will die before we reach the other side.
Oh! I furrow my brow. It's a disturbing addendum, and one offered with little emotion attached. Bemelle glares back, asking without asking what we're supposed to do with such circumstances.
You should go around.
The sentence hangs in the air. The second half sounds spoken. If you want to live.
We don't have time for that. There are people counting on us for protection. Why does she need to go?
He jerks a finger at Margaret, whose face contorts with anger.
I don't need to explain myself to you. My journey has already been put off once, and I was promised I could go today. I will be going under any circumstances.
So we're going to make sure she dies, right? She meets Bemelle's eyes with a gaze of steel. He starts to speak, but she cuts in.
An extra day or two shouldn't be that much of a problem for you. Whoever you're meeting can surely wait such a tiny amount longer. Patience is a virtue, after all.
We can't wait. I think she's the one who can wait, probably.
The night is only so long, and if we're still on the bridges when the sun comes up, we'll all die as they sink back below the surface. If you don't decide soon, no one will be going.
The guide is dispassionate, stoic. I'd almost feel something's wrong with him if I didn't share the trait myself. Bemelle pulls me to the side, jaw clenched tight.
That woman isn't armed.
Your point? His voice is low. He darts a glance at Margaret.
We can easily get her to back off if we make this into an actual fight. After all, we have to go tonight, yes? If one of us really is to die, it'll be her. Would staying be a worse fate than her death?
I stare at the dog, refusing to meet Bemelle's eyes. And I try to keep my voice as level as possible.
We don't know her situation. This isn't a decision we can make for her.
What?
Bemelle leans in closer, apparently missed what I have said. I remove the sympathy for her in my response when I speak again.
The guide won't accept something like that, I assume.
His face is grim.
Then what else do you have in mind?
Well, one of us could stay behind.
First of all, you and I cannot split up. Either we both stay, or we both go.
Right. That's not a question.
I cross my arms, a hand on my chin. I have full confidence in my abilities and in Bemelle's. There's no reason not to believe the guy knows exactly what he's talking about. I think it's going to give me a timed question, and I'm not ready for that. If we go, he might not be able to give the group the attention we deserve. It means we're truly putting Margaret's life at risk on top of our own. Oh, no. Yep. Oh, gosh. I believe we should
And
go.
I believe you.
Bemelle's reply is firm. I steadfast myself. Seems weak in comparison to his certainty. He addresses the
We
guide.
shouldn't waste more time. Let's shove off.
The guide slowly turns around without even a nod to show his agreement. Margaret stares at Bemelle and me, something of a resolve in her gaze. I think I made the wrong decision. Then she follows after the guide. At least she didn't insist we stay behind.
We should do what we can to protect her. It's our fault she's being put in even further danger.
Exactly my thoughts. We will take care of everything. Maybe I'm being naive, but I have no intentions of letting anyone fall victim to this lake tonight. Those monsters can starve.
He turns to follow the others across. I will protect everyone on this trip. I will. We will make it through this. I step onto the dock and join them. Begin. Ooh, I got an achievement. As soon as I step onto the wood, the temperature drops. The light of my lamp shines against the water surface, as reflective as a mirror. Until we reach the land, death is only one small mistake away. We fall into line with the guide leading the way. Oh, I can see why I can see why you need a guide, because there's multiple paths you can take, and only one of them leads to the other side, the other leads to death. Margaret stays close to him, and I behind her, watching to make sure she doesn't slip on the slick-but wood. Bemelle brings up the rear. He's gonna die. I have made a poor mistake. He's gonna die. Each of us holds our lantern in front of us, but it does little good. The fog is thick and nigh impenetrable, consuming the light as if hungry for it. Above the surface of the lake, it's deathly quiet. No longer is there the whispering of wind, or the sound of water lapping against the shore. It's just our own mismatched footsteps and the sound of my quickened breathing. My eyes drift back to the lake against my better judgment. It's no wonder there's not even the sound of water, with how still the surface is. It seems almost sturdy, with the sheen of a black marble floor. I've heard rumors the water of Sinlos is heavier, more difficult to disturb than natural water. That just the weight of its oppressive cling is enough to keep someone down, even without them. Something even darker than the abyss of the lake flickers just below the surface, or at least I think it does. I turn my gaze to Margaret's back and tell her to stay focused.
Fall back a bit. You're following me too closely.
The guide is looking over his shoulder, addressing Margaret.
I'm sorry.
If someone gets pulled into the lake, they'll instinctively reach for anything to hold on to. Do not let that be you.
Margaret's shoulders rise, and she nods with great seriousness.
I understand. Thank you for the advice.
He ignores her gratitude.
You can speak amongst yourselves if you so choose, as long as you pay attention to where you're going. There is no worth in listening to the sounds out there. If there's anything at all, it'll only be Nixie trying to set you on edge.
All right. Then, could you tell us your name? You didn't have a chance to properly introduce yourself, and I've only heard you being referred to as the guide.
I don't have a name.
He's facing the front again. His voice is expressionless as ever. I have no way of guessing how he feels as he says this.
Oh.
It's probably not something he wishes to talk about. However, there was something else I want to say, so changing the subject is not difficult.
Margaret, thank you for allowing us to join you.
Margaret shrugs noncommittally.
It wasn't exactly up to me. The guide said he would take you.
She hesitates and then looks tentatively over her shoulder at me.
But thank you for saying that. It's appreciated.
Bemelle and I will do our best to be an asset on this trip, rather than a burden.
That's nice. I'm not afraid to be out here, though. Still, at least with your training, you should be able to take care of yourselves.
Oh, I do not like her. I admire her resilience. It's comforting to know that everyone here is so confident in their abilities. Not enough to forget how terrible it feels to be over this lake. I'm not sure if that is fortunate or unfortunate. Believing yourself to be secure doesn't mean that you are. As the conversation lulls, a new sound breaks through. It's the whispering noise again. Chatter of inhuman voices, this time coming from all around us.
Taking care of yourself is exactly what you need to do.
The guide is speaking again, except louder, as if to cover the Nixie's voices with his own.
Work to survive at all costs, and hope that everyone around you has enough sense to do the same. That's the only way you'll make it to the other side.
Margaret nods in response, but I hear a grunt from behind me.
Groups tend to go further when they work together to achieve the same goal.
The guide doesn't say anything in response to Bemelle's grumbling either. I'm not sure whether he didn't hear Bemelle, or he just didn't feel the statements made thus far worthy of addressing. I have a feeling it's the latter. We go around the large bend in the bridge, part of it forking off to another way. I wonder how the guide knows which of this essentially identical paths is the correct when something in the corner of my eye catches my attention.
I believe I saw something over there.
Don't stop to look at it. Keep going.
Keep walking. No need to worry.
The guide's voice is calm and level. I decided against pressing the issue, not wanting to set everyone even more on edge.
What did he say?
Perhaps not wanting the conversation to be caught by the guide, he speaks softly, although I couldn't quite hear him because of it. Ho ho ho. I don't like it. I take my eyes off Margaret ahead for a moment to explain to Bemelle and then stop dead in my tracks. My only one word is able to escape me in my stunned state.
Behind.
Behind Bemelle stands another figure illuminated in the darkness. Seeing my face, Bemelle grabs the hilt of his sword. He whips around and staggers swiftly backwards. Several meters away, a crooked, twisted black figure hobbles its way towards us. Some kind of liquid drips off its head, curling around the edges of its face. It almost looks like it's crying. Bemelle backs up until he's standing beside me. The figure continues its slow advance, head jerking from one angle to another.
What on earth?
It's one of them.
Yes, Nixie that stumble across the bridges looking for opportunities.
The guy is standing next to us. I didn't even notice him approach.
The ones that can make it out of the water are generally referred to as prowlers.
I had no idea things like that were out here. Is that what Kikka saw down the other path?
The guide says nothing, instead returning to the front of the party. Margaret watches him pass. Her frustration morphs into nervous optimism when something seems to come into her mind.
Well, Nixie aren't slowed down much by swords, but at least the light keeps them away, right?
Margaret's hand grips her face tight. Desperation bleeds into her voice. I bite the inside of my lip.
Direct light will force it to return to the lake. However, it'll try to drag the light, or you, down with it before it goes.
Instinctively, I reach for the hilt of my sword, despite the fact it would do little to protect me. The prowler is getting closer, jerking forward, stopping and resuming its slow advance.
Okay, does anyone have a light we can leave here? That way it won't follow us.
Only matches.
Bemelle spits. He's the one bringing up the rear, so he's the one most likely to be in danger if it keeps following. The guide, however, moves forward.
Don't forget it's there, don't let your guard down, and don't get left behind.
What? How am I supposed to keep walking with this thing at my heels? You said it wants to attack.
Don't give it the chance.
Bemelle sputters in anger, and the guard summarily ignores him. I sullenly grab hold of Bemelle's upper arm.
Here, I'll lead you like this, and you can keep your focus solely on the prowler. Make sure it doesn't get too close.
Bemelle eyes the guide with unresolved hostility, but allows him to softly sigh in relief. He gazes at me with fondness.
At least there's someone I can count on.
Despite the fact that I'm going against his advice, the guide says nothing more. It's clear now he doesn't give a damn what we end up doing. Some part of me is glad for that. I want to help everyone make it though, and it would be worse to persuade the guide every time help is necessary.
Kikka, thank you.
Bemelle places a gentle hand on my shoulder. I feel Bemelle start as I reciprocate his touch, but just as quickly a smile replaces his shock. Aw, he's blushing. I didn't mean to get feelings. I was like, I don't know if I want to romance this guy, but he's really sweet and dependable, so why not? The moment is pleasant, a small balm against a large burn. I harden my expression and Bemelle follows suit. He moves his free arm down. I fully link his arm with mine, and now properly settled, look forward. Margaret is following the guide with some reluctance, turning back every so often to check on us. I wave my lantern to signal we're catching up. Margaret returns her head to the front and quickens her pace. With a tug on Bemelle, we start to follow them. The four of us continue cautiously over the bridges, only this time the wet, squishing footsteps of the prowler join the sound of our own. In spite of myself, I grip Bemelle tighter. The prowler walks without a set pattern, sometimes fast, sometimes slow. It takes long steps, then short ones. At times it stops walking entirely. Does it hurt to be out of the water like this? Or is it trying to be difficult to read? Suddenly, the whispering in the lake grows louder. I steel myself, trying not to let it get to me. The most important thing in a situation like this is to remain calm. I can't lose my head. Then all at once, I notice the guide and Margaret have come to a halt.
Bemelle, they're stopping.
Bemelle slows down as I do, and as we near Margaret's back, she says something. She says with something akin to distress.
There's another one.
I tug on Bemelle and the other stands. We draw up close to Margaret, ready to protect her if need be, but the guide holds out a hand.
Don't get any closer.
I hate it. I hate it. Just over his shoulder, I see another prowler stumbling towards us, white liquid dripping from its eyes. The guide's hands turns over in the air, palm
Give
up.
me a lantern. We'll throw it.
Margaret extends her own with a trembling hand when Bemelle speaks instead, his back still turned.
If you have to take someone's, take mine.
No, that's the bad decision because you're in the back. You're taking up the rear. You need to keep your lantern.
Yes, an extra light won't do as much good when we're staying as close together.
Margaret takes Bemelle's lantern from him, guarded relief displayed on their features.
Thank you.
She hands the lantern to the guide, whose hand grips it tightly, knuckles growing pale.
Stay here. I can't go too far. The light might blow out before it reaches the stakes.
It's an ugly creature, ain't it? Look at that. Oof. He steps closer to the monster, his movements light and confident. As he nears, the prowler starts to back away. Or is it only the approaching light that's making a retreat, or are they afraid of him? The guide is far enough away from us that the fog is partially obscuring him, hiding his movements. Voices from the lake grow louder and louder. Water suddenly begins to splash across the lake, in the distance, onto the edges of the bridge. They want him to mess up. I don't notice how tense I am until Bemelle aces his grasp of my arm. And suddenly the guide takes multiple long and fast strides forward and throws the lantern and jumps backwards to regain the lost distance. There's a sharp hiss and then a deep splash, and the voices of the Nixie grow quieter. Not silent, quieter. A sigh escapes me and the guide comes back to our group.
We should keep going before it comes back.
I glance at Bemelle and realize he too is looking relieved at the guide before us. And then I see it. The first prowler. It's still there. It's right there. I shift around, pulling Bemelle behind me. The prowler lunges after him, barely missing Bemelle, but striking my lantern instead. The fire goes out, and the two of us are plunged into an unearthly darkness. Then there's a slick splash. I realize the Nyx has retreated into the water. Somehow, Bemelle and I are still standing. We're still here.
Kikka, thank you.
I can't respond. Something cold, wet, and slimy has grabbed my ankle. I kick my leg out as fast as I can, and the Nyx's hold slips. It can't pull with the momentum I've gained against it. Margaret rushes to my side, her lantern hanging out towards the Nyx. The light brushes its face, and we see it for an instant, its eyes wide, and then it slides back into the smooth surface of the water. Bemelle grabs Margaret and I both, helping us towards the center of the bridge and cussing under his breath.
I only looked away for 1 second.
It's fine, Bemelle. We're all fine.
Are you actually alright?
Margaret cocks her head down, examining my ankle, but there's nothing but a wet smudge around my trousers.
I am fine.
I say that, although I don't actually want to let go of Bemelle. I need to in order to relight our lantern and provide us actual safety, but I feel such a strong desire not to be alone in this moment. I shake my head and roughly let go of him, relighting the lantern as fast as I am able.
Kikka, thank you. Again. You saved my life. I won't let this happen again.
Yes. It would be good for all of us to pay more attention.
Margaret nods solemnly. Suddenly it seems we're all on the same side. It isn't only Bemelle and I, she is with us, in more than simply presence. The guide's voice, as cold as that monster's grasp, ends my train of thought.
We lost the lantern I threw. The Nyx grabbed it after the light went out.
Margaret makes a noise. I glance over, wondering if she's upset, but there's a small smile on her face instead.
It's better than them taking anything else.
Yeah, that's true. Ever the optimist, you. A nervous laugh bubbles out of me, and just as quickly stops. Bemelle chuckles in our response, and our collective tension heaves up, the adrenaline draining from our bodies.
We need to keep walking.
You're right. The guide starts down to the bridge again, and we join him. I try to clamp down on the relief, the ease that wants to flood my head. It's not over. The prowler is gone, but so is Bemelle's lantern.
You can stay near me, Bemelle, since your lantern is lost.
I appreciate it.
Margaret goes on ahead of us. Bemelle stays by my side as I keep at the end of the line. The breath of release from Margaret and Bemelle is quickly swallowed by the somber atmosphere of Sidlos as well, replaced by the gravity of the near-death experience. Never mind celebrating his survival. Something like that shouldn't have happened in the first place. The memory of the flowers reaching toward us appeared each time I closed my eyes.
Why does it look like something's dripping down their faces?
Yeah, it looks like they're crying. The prowlers are on Margaret's mind too. Looking at her pain expression, it's as though the moment of relief never existed at all.
I'm not sure.
Me neither. Something's wrong with them, though.
They look like they were human once, but they aren't human anymore.
They live in water. Air shouldn't be good for the things, but they want to drown humans so much they're willing to drag themselves around on land? It's not right.
Of course it isn't. They're monsters. They likely do not understand even the concept of right and wrong.
Well, I don't disagree that there's something very wrong about them. I truly hope that's the last we'll see of the Prowlers.
Doubt it. But if that's the last we see of the Prowlers, then we're bound to see something worse. Something comes to her mind, causing Margaret to end the part of her part of the conversation early.
Since you two have to share a light, wouldn't it be safer to be in the middle?
Margaret stops and waits for Bemelle and I to reach her position.
That way, you'll catch the edges of my light and the guide's, and it won't be so dangerous if Bemelle loses his position momentarily.
But you're unarmed.
That's a very kind offer, Margaret.
Bemelle's surprise is so apparent I want to cover his face with my hands to stop him from insulting her. She merely smirks. I think Margaret may be surprised with herself too. Bemelle returns to his usual certainty.
As thoughtful as it is, I, at least, am fine with bringing up the rear. I'm used to keeping watch for monsters, and since there are two of us, I can pay attention to the back while Kikka focuses ahead. It's not my light, though, so I shouldn't be the one to decide what she should do with it.
Margaret and Bemelle turn to look at me in unison. Seems like it's my decision. Neither of them are wrong, as for me, my goal is to protect everyone. I can't very well do that with Margaret following behind us. But being stuck in the middle of the group could also be dangerous, depending on the circumstances we come across. Getting pincered by the enemy would be almost sure death, no matter how experienced Bemelle and I are. I just don't know what to expect from this bridge, and that makes things so much more difficult. The current format has worked
So
so
you're
far.
staying behind?
Seems like it.
Yes, I think we'll be good here. But really, thank you. That was a very kind offer.
Well, alright.
Margaret respects our decision and trots ahead a bit to catch up to the guide. He who has paid no mind to the entire affair. I cannot read. I'm gonna go on for just a bit more, and then I'm going to stop the episode right about here. I do need some kind of cliffhanger to keep you guys all tuned in to to more of this game. After all.
So, I don't want to sound like a child, but how much longer until we arrive at the halfway point?
Margaret chuckles, reflecting the amusement I don't want to vocalize.
We still have some ways to go.
Oh boy.
Damn.
Yeah, me too, bro. Me too, dude. I suppressed my laughter yet again at his pouting response. The gloom we've been under dissipates slightly, like a light flickering through the fog.
The first trial tends to be the most difficult. I believe we will only react better from this point on.
I like the way you think.
Yeah, she's very positive despite being, stuck up like that. Then a gleam enters Bemelle's eyes and he grins.
I think Kikka deserves a round of applause. Her quick reflexes are owed the utmost appreciation.
Oh, well, thank you. He leans softly into my shoulder, trying to get me to what?
It was indeed a sight. You're quite capable. Bemelle was also a sight, but for very different reasons. The way he froze with his mouth all agape was a laugh in itself.
Bemelle shakes her fist at Margaret in mock anger, then shoots me in an affectionate look.
You should know, she and I are usually on equal footing.
The only reason you had footing at all is because she pulled you back.
Bemelle laughs self-consciously, scratching his head. You know, she's right.
That's very true. You can always count on Kikka.
Oh. I keep my eyes steadily ahead, unsure how I should respond. I'm pleased, most grateful to hear what they think of me, but I don't know what I could say that wouldn't seem pathetic. Instead, I contribute the best way I can. I keep my focus on the path ahead of us. Without a response from me, the conversation quickly dies out. Still, it eases my heart to be on such friendly terms with my companions. Okay, at this point, I'm going to stop this episode right here. I'm enjoying this. Turns out that like going with your gut and answering the questions that are the choices that are timed. Just going with your gut and going your gut when it comes to those choices is the best for me, because I'm usually inclined to save everyone and make the choice that doesn't require me to think rationally. I really like this game so far. Lake of Voices. It's really nice. It's very pretty. The soundtrack is very good. The artwork is very good. Voice acting is excellent. Like I said, it's free to play on Steam. I'll leave a link to it down in the description for anyone who would like to play it for themselves. And make choices for themselves. Sorry, I just noticed that the piano changed. I was like listening to it. Until next time, my friends, blessed be.